Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with Ilene Marcus. She is the author of Managing Annoying People and runs Align Workspace. She helps leaders and founders use innovation to attract and keep great talent. With over 32 years in executive positions managing high-stakes teams at multi-million-dollar organizations, from turning around a 10,000-person social welfare agency to traveling the country for Techstars, a lead seed accelerator. She facilitates groups and entrepreneurs to start and scale businesses as well. Ilene has faced her own emotions, surviving a rare cancer at 39, a financially devastating divorce, and public humiliation, being fired when her boss was sent to prison for embezzlement. She knows firsthand that managing emotions matter most. Enjoy this interview.
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Oh, so excited. Love to talk.
Absolutely. So do I. So before we get into your life and your body of work, I want to know, the last 3 years has been quite a thing with COVID. How did you survive that time period, and how has it subsequently changed the way that not only you live your life, but the way that you conduct business now?
Well, I was one of those people that thrived in COVID. I really loved being potted in my house and getting time to do all those projects I never had time to do. I have been a Zoom person forever, working in coaching internationally and nationally, so I was very used to Zoom and FaceTiming and being with people on electronic devices. So for me, it really helped me to actually make the path quite narrow, because since you couldn't attend 2 meetings at once and you couldn't be 2 places at once, I had to make choices about where I was and who I was going to be with. And that really helped me to hone in and define who I am and who I want to spend my time with. So for me, it really helped to bring me to a new business model.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot. You know, there was a lot of people that benefited from this time. There was overwhelming silver linings, you know, not to diminish what was going on, but you know, just from a human perspective, how it affected people's business and the way they conducted it. So let's get a better handle on what you do business-wise. So I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day, and one of the kids is going to look up at you and say, "What do you do for a living?" How would you answer them?
I help people work together. You know, when your friend Charlie takes your lunchbox and you're not happy about it, and then you have a fight and other people get involved, and then you have to go home and talk to your parents and your teacher about it, I help you not get into those situations and learn how to get out of them so that you get what you want.
So when you were in the third grade, what was your dream when you grew up? What did you want to be?
Oh, when I was in the third grade, I think I wanted to be a princess. No, I don't know. You know, when I was in the third grade, you know, I mean, look, we barely had TV then. So, I wanted to get my own room. I wanted to move out of the room with my sister, you know. My world was very small then. I came from, you know, a house that was very chaotic and busy, and you know, I didn't get a lot of FaceTime there, so I was always looking to be alone and to figure out who I was. So I you know, but if I wanted one thing, it was probably to be the mayor of the house. I always wanted to be in charge.
So I guess that's my next question. You know, where were you born and raised, and kind of how did some of these seeds get put in you early on in your life to become who you are?
You know, I've really been digging into this, and that is one of the gifts of COVID, to really look at who you are and what you like to do and how you got there. It's also one of the gifts of being over 60, right? We start to figure out, like, these are my patterns, whether I like them or not, so how am I going to amplify them instead of running from them? So I always felt invisible, you know. I grew up in a house with a lot of people. I would say things. I had good ideas. I was always known as the bully, so me and my sisters, I was in Long Island, you know. These were the parents who were proud to move out from Depression era, and parents and Holocaust survivors, so there's a lot of generational trauma and messages being sent to us. And I grew up in the generation where Barbie only made like 3 things, and I grew up with 4 girls, and a big day would be spent making our Barbie house in the playroom, everyone scouring the house for different materials from my father's workbench or my mother's chest. She was a teacher. And then we'd build our houses. And I always wanted to build a bigger house, a better house. I intuitively took the best materials. And my sisters would come to me and barter and trade with me. And then they'd go complain to my mother and say, Ilene took the best materials. Eileen wants to do this. Eileen is the boss. And my mother would say, wait till your father gets home, that old thing. And then when my father got home, it was, yes, Eileen's the bully, 3 against 1, or 4 against 1, or 6 against 1, how many were in the house. And I think if I had known those words then, I would have known I was always a manager, a leader, an entrepreneur. I had a different vision. I knew how to get people there, and I knew how to build things, literally, the Barbie houses, but how to organize steps to get something accomplished. So I wish I had those words when I was young, but I was born with it.
It's interesting. My dad, sometimes people wonder with my last name how I ended up in Kansas City, and my dad was born in Brooklyn and raised in Massapequa, Long Island.
No way. I was Massapequa too, 11758. That's hysterical.
Wow. Yeah. That's my Aunt Colleen still lives there, and I always remember that zip code. Yeah, my dad he wanted out. I don't know what was going on at that time, but that's why we ended up in Kansas City. He joined the Air Force to see the world, got stationed out here at Richards Gebaur, but he wanted out badly. It was just one of those things where, he wanted his own reality.
No, I resonate with that. I was one of those people, growing up in Long Island, especially then on the LIRR, which the kids now call the LIR, right? You were an hour, 40 minutes out of the city, and they were different worlds. And I always wanted that other world. Always, always, always. So you're lucky. They don't have good barbecue, not to generalize in Long Island, but they do in Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we just got off the euphoria of winning the Super Bowl, so we had a big parade yesterday. The town has been crazy for a couple of weeks, but which I wish my dad passed in '08. I so wish that he would have been able to experience just one of these, because he used to sit in that easy chair on Sundays and he would just cuss that TV out, because they just were notorious for not winning. They'd get close and lose, and so anyway, but I'm sure somewhere.
It's a great memory, though.
Yeah. But I'm sure somewhere in the ether he was there at the parade and he saw it all happen. So it's all good. So let me, to get to kind of another level and core of who you are, who has been kind of a role model or a hero for you in your life?
No, that's a really good question, because I think that's something that, I like people who make nothing out of something. So you look at people like Oprah, who came from nothing and had enough self-confidence in themselves to believe in what they did and really create something. I know your other hat is jazz, but I'm really drawn to musicians. I'm really drawn to people who can put, in such short, concise ways, words that sting or resonate. So I think, I now, we'll get into it, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and founders, and that's because I love people that can create things, that can see what needs to be. So in that way, maybe some of my biggest mentors was like Freud, because everyone else would focus on the physical body or the planets, and he focused on what's going on inside there. Well, how are all these choices being made? So anyone who builds, sees something different, starts something from nothing, and, it's kind of snaked throughout my life. I'm just interested in different people and different concepts and different thoughts, and keep building on them.
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
It would probably be Miranda Lambert, I got to tell you, the country singer. Named, one of the top most influential people in the world. She's a young girl. She has a handle on life. She has a way of talking about life that rich, poor, black, white, green, yellow, country, city, everyone relates to. She is just like the ultimate convener, and yet she is a little, I don't want to say snarky, but, she definitely tosses it out there a bit and gets you thinking, right, and challenges your beliefs. So I think I'm a Miranda Lambert fan. That's it.
That's the first time I've heard that answer. That's interesting. So, someone that's obviously highly driven and, helping other people, you obviously have to parlay that out and into taking care of yourself. How do you balance that in your life, where you take care of yourself, but you give those that you're helping what they need to change their lives?
Yes, that is something, everybody talks about work-life balance, and I am one of those people who believes it's almost impossible, especially if you are actually, running a large corporation, managing a lot of people, or you're running a small corporation, or you're a mother and you're running a house. anyone with a multitude of roles and responsibilities has a really hard time in balancing those. And I think, for me, what I found, it's about nurturing my soul, that what I have to realize what feeds me. I love to talk. I love to speak. I love to meet people. But I had to learn that at the corest of my core, I'm an introvert. I need that time, like I said, as a kid, running away from my sister, just wanting my own room, to be with myself and regenerate by myself. So I think it's really a balance of not what works for everyone, what works for you, and how do you do it. I know people that commute and love it because that time gives them the time they need to listen to the books they want, to think, to make the calls. I know people that don't want to commute, but for me, it's really been a lesson to put that oxygen mask. I love that, analogy everyone uses. Put that oxygen mask on me first so that I can breathe life into everyone else. And it really comes from, in the morning I have a spiritual routine, I have a meditation routine, and, my newest trick is I take a bath or a shower in the morning, because isn't that exciting? Instead of waiting till the end of the day to get de-stressed and get all that off of me, I get it on. I start with my armor on in the morning. And frankly, if I want to take another bath at night, why not, right? So I think it's one of the hardest things we do. I call it managing our own behavior. We're very good at managing others. We're very good at, we pick one piece, self-care, or we pick, our hobbies, and we pick this. But putting it all together in a package is a lifelong lesson, I believe.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I'm curious to kind of get a little bit more into the essence of what drives you. Every day we wake up, we have things that we want to do. We have an agenda we're looking forward to. But what is ultimately the motivator for you every day to get through the day and to accomplish what you want to get done?
Yeah, I have lived a very interesting life. I've been at a lot of places. I, grew up in an abusive house. I was there at 9/11. I just have seen a lot. I watched the Sullenberger plane go down the Hudson. I was driving up the West Side Highway. I have just been at the intersection of a lot of events, and a lot of starts of businesses, a lot of starts of public administrations. So for me, I have learned a lot of lessons, and I had to learn them the hard way. I didn't have parents that taught me. I didn't have mentors that could always be trust. I didn't have a lot of those things. So for me, it's about taking what I've lived, distilling it, and helping others, back to that third grader, to play nice with each other, to get what they want, to figure out how to get out of situations that they, that could really bring them down and change them instead of lifting them up and letting them see who they are. So it's really about sharing what I've lived and learned. There's no way to give anybody shortcuts, but there are ways to give them food and different ideas to think about, food for thought to think about. So I'm really driven by helping others, get out of their hole and get unstuck. And the story. When I lift you, it lifts me. We lift each other. Everybody gets lifted. So I really just love watching people fly. I love it.
So when you get to the end of the proverbial day, how do you look back and quantify that day and say that was a good day?
I've been asked this question a lot lately, and I think it's a good day when I, obviously for me, unexpected things crop up and they come in with ease and confidence. So people I didn't expect to hear from, questions I didn't expect to ask, different obstacles. But it's all about, am I proud of how I handled it? Am I proud of what I offered? Did I show up in a way that was willing to be kind? And I think kindness is, the most underrated super ability there is. Was I kind to others? And basically, did I not leave the earth a worse place off than when I found it? Did I help to make the world a little better today just by being in it, smiling, making someone's day, helping someone? So I do a nightly inventory. That is part of my self-care, about where I could have been kinder, where I could have had more patience, where I could have listened more. And I think it's just really important to dig in every day to, being a little kinder, a little gentler, a little more loving.
So what are you ultimately the proudest of in your life when you lean back and look at everything that you've done, and you've talked about all these interesting events of magnanimous and tragedy and just things in between? What is it that you're the proudest of?
I'm really proud of the book I wrote, not because I'm stumping it, so I won't even mention it, but it takes a lot of effort to write a book, to think about like who you are, what you want to say, how you want to say it, how you want the audience to feel, and to show up for yourself. I think I'm really proud as to some of these things that really, really go under the radar screen. I live in a little rural town in Massachusetts now, and I was at the dog park a few weeks ago, and I'm talking to this woman who had just moved up here. I've been up here about 8 years now, who just moved up from New York City, where I spent most of my life, and she says, "Oh, my last job was at the Welfare Reform Network." And I looked at her and I said, "I created that network. I started it." So, and she looked and goes, "You really are?" "Oh my God, I've heard about you. I've been, but we never met." And there we were meeting at a dog park. And I have, I can't find one thing. I'm so proud of these seeds I planted and sowed that have really in a certain way, I don't want to say changed, but have set a course for organizations or people and impacted people's lives. And, I just, I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of that, the work I did in community building and community development and helping people find their own financial freedom, which I think is the greatest gift we can give each other, is growing and working and still out there. It's meeting the test of time. So I could point to, I'm proud that I have a fully functioning 28-year-old, but I'm so glad I do, but it's the totality of it all that, like, despite all of my problems, my challenges, my obstacles, I have actually added to the world.
So if you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 20-year-old version of yourself and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained, the roads you've been down, things you've overcome, what would you tell your younger version?
I would tell her, find out who you are and don't please anybody else. Please yourself. Just dig into who you are and amplify it. Dig into who you are. I spent too much of my life pleasing other people. Yeah,
for sure. So everyone out there has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your readers, clients, but you ultimately live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am an engaging, flawed, interesting, crazy, in the right direction woman, hopefully with a little grace and really bringing fun to every situation. I think I am, I'm stepping into Ilene. I don't know, it's probably 4.0, but let's call it 2.0. I'm stepping into, I got things to share, and I think they should be shared because, like I said, I've learned a lot, and I have I have a unique perspective, and I've been doing it on a small scale for a long time, and it is time to elevate, So I think I'm someone who has some value to contribute, and is part of the dialogue.
So, Ilene, if anyone out there wants to get your book, they want to hire you, learn more about you and your life, anything related to you, where do they go?
They go to Managing Annoying People, and a big orange book will pop up, and they'll say Ilene Marcus, author. My website is Aligned Workplace. I like to align your mission, vision, resources. So AlignedWorkplace.com. But you Google Managing Annoying People and you will find me. And believe me, if you need me, I'm out there. And of course on Amazon. And that's it. That's where I am.
I love it. And you're here too. Ilene, thank you for being here, opening up, giving us your story. I appreciate it. Good luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.